Hi Cancer, welcome to your love reading for November 2019. Let's go ahead and see what is going on in your love life. This is a love reading for the sign of Cancer for November 2019. The first card you have, Cancer, is the Three of Wands. Love reading for the sign of Cancer for November. Six of Swords. Love reading for the sign of Cancer for November. Knight of Pentacles. Love reading for the sign of Cancer for November. The Hermit. Love reading for the sign of Cancer for November. The High Priestess. Love reading for the sign of Cancer for November. Seven of Wands. Love reading for the sign of Cancer for November. The World. Love reading for the sign of Cancer for November. The Five of Wands. Love reading for the sign of Cancer for November. And Temperance. Okay, what's the most important thing that Cancer needs to hear about their love life for November 2019? The message that you have, Cancer, is a Ten of Wands. So the Ten of Wands does represent feeling really drained, feeling really tired, frustrated, and fed up. So we'll come back to this card in a minute and see how it ties in with the rest of the reading. Let's go ahead and start at the top. You have the Three of Wands, Six of Swords, and Knight of Pentacles. So I definitely see the sign of Cancer waiting here with the Three of Wands. Perhaps you're waiting for things to improve. You have the Six of Swords, which means that the sign of Cancer is moving away from perhaps a difficult time in a relationship or in a marriage. Things are improving. However, you do have the Knight of Pentacles, which means that things are improving slowly. Again, because you have the Three of Wands as the first card, it does mean that you've been waiting for some time for things to change, which definitely resonates with the main energy. The Ten of Wands, feeling again really frustrated, fed up, exhausted. The Ten of Wands does mean that you've kind of reached the end. Perhaps you're feeling like giving up on a relationship. You feel like giving up on a person. But remember, you do have the Knight of Pentacles, which is saying you are making progress. It's just that things are taking their time. Three of Wands, Knight of Pentacles. Now you also have the Hermit. So some of you might be dealing with the sign of Virgo here, represented by the Hermit. You also have the High Priestess and the Seven of Wands. So you're being told to really trust your intuition in the month of November. The High Priestess is all about intuition, signs, and synchronicities. Perhaps some of you really need to pay attention to what is really happening in a relationship. When you have the Hermit, which is telling you that you need to shed some light on what is really going on. What is it that you're really frustrated about? Because some of you are feeling like giving up on a partner here with the Ten of Wands. You've reached the point where you don't know if you want to stay with someone anymore. You feel like maybe it's time to part ways, or you're having doubts about how somebody feels. You're being told trust your intuition here. Some of you also, again, you may need a timeout with the Hermit. This does sometimes represent kind of needing some solitude to shed some light on how you really feel and what you want. You also have the Seven of Wands, which means that you do have to really speak up for yourself. You have to speak up for yourself. Sometimes the Seven of Wands does come up when someone is being treated really unfairly. Because you have the Six of Swords here, this means that there is something going on that you need to move away from. A difficult time in a marriage, a difficult time in a relationship, or even a difficult partner where you're really, being treated unfairly because of the Seven of Wands. Now down here, let me just hold them up for you. You have the World. So the World does represent endings, the end of a cycle. So again, some of you might be deciding to end a relationship, seeing the Ten of Wands as the main energy and the World. But the World can also represent kind of a new chapter in your relationship. I do feel, again, like you have to be patient. You have Temperance here. Temperance is all about patience, compassion, especially with something like this in between them. You have the Five of Wands. So the Five of Wands, I definitely see a struggle for the sign of Cancer in the month of November. Seven of Wands and the Five of Wands. There could be fighting, misunderstandings between couples. The Five of Wands also does represent competition. So for some of you where maybe you think there is a third party, there could be, and this could be maybe something that your intuition is telling you, or something where maybe you already know. Again, with the Hermit, you're shedding some light on what is really going on, and you are fighting back with the Seven of Wands. Okay, let me get a few more. Let's see what other messages come up for you. What other messages are there for the sign of Cancer for November? Five of Cups, messages for the sign of Cancer for November. The Four of Pentacles, and the Six of Wands. Okay, so you've got the 5 and the 6 of Wands here. I mean, I definitely feel like the sign of Cancer is holding on to something. with the Four of Pentacles here. Some of you could be holding on to a relationship that's just making you unhappy here with the Ten of Wands, where you just feel like there's just so much baggage dragging this relationship down or this marriage. Someone is holding on really tight to something, and it is creating unhappiness. That's what I see here with the Five of Cups. This represents sadness, tears, disappointment. Again, you're holding on really tight, but you do have the Six of Wands. So this is things actually working out for you. You have the 5, the 6, and the 7 of Wands. So, I mean, what I get from all this is a sign of Cancer really does need to speak up for themselves. You really do need to fight back in a way with the 7 of Wands. In some way, you're not being treated fairly. If you do fight for yourself, you do have the 6 of Wands, which does represent victory, beating the odds, getting past any obstacles that are blocking you. But I do see you holding on really tight here. Perhaps you're not wanting to let go of a relationship, even if it is full of challenges. I feel like you've been waiting, looking at this first row right here, you've been waiting for things to improve. And things are changing. You have the Knight of Pentacles, slow progress. But it does require for you to really speak your truth, really stand your ground with your partner. Okay, let's get a few more cards from the confirmation deck, and let's see what else comes up here. What other messages are there for the sign of Cancer for November? You've got the 8 of Swords. Messages for the sign of Cancer for November. Judgment. And we've got the Knight of Wands. What's the most important thing that Cancer needs to hear about their love life for November? The 9 of Cups. So, I mean, the 9 of Cups is saying what you want can be yours. This is wish fulfillment, but most important, it does represent you being very happy. But again, you have to really trust your intuition, and you have to really confront the issues that are facing you right now with the 7 of Wands. So you have the 8 of Swords, Judgment, and the Knight of Wands. Let me look at this for a minute here. So the Knight of Wands does mean that, you know, someone really wants to move forward in a relationship or in a marriage. The Knight of Wands is someone who knows what they want and they're not going to give up. But there's also this energy of somebody not knowing how to move forward. With the 8 of Swords, somebody doesn't know perhaps what they want. This does represent a mental, emotional prison. Someone feels really trapped. Again, it does feel like the sign of Cancer is like you're struggling. You're trying to hold on to something where there are a lot of problems, there are a lot of issues. Somebody wants to hold on and the other person feels, you know, unable to move forward. This is all about some type of new beginning. You've got Judgment here, which does represent perhaps a second chance for a marriage, a second chance for a relationship. Perhaps you're trying to reconnect with an ex. Somebody is all for it and the other person is holding back out of fear. It's like one person is not participating. One person wants to move forward and the other one is backing down. Again, you do have the 5 of Wands, conflict. You and the person that you love, you want very different things. So you're being told here to really explore this. Are you really truly on the same page? Trust your intuition. You know what's going on, but some of you, I feel like you don't want to see this. You're just holding on really tight to the person that you love. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the X spread. Okay, Cancer, let's go ahead and see what is going on with you and your ex. Shows the energies around Cancer and their ex for November. You have the 5 of Swords, Cancer and their ex for November. 7 of Pentacles, Cancer and their ex for November. Queen of Pentacles, Cancer and their ex for November. The World, Cancer and their ex for November. 7 of Wands. So both of these cards are repeat cards because they were in the first spread. Cancer and their ex for November. 5 of Cups also in the first spread. Cancer and their ex for November. 9 of Swords. Cancer and their ex for November. Knight of Cups. Cancer and their ex for November. 6 of Pentacles. Okay, so interesting. It's interesting that all 3 of these cards in the middle are repeat cards because they were in the first spread. So I definitely feel like this is kind of like saying, pay attention. This is what you need to hear. But let's go ahead and start at the top. 5 of Swords. 7 of Pentacles. Queen of Pentacles. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind here is if your ex is an earth sign. Let's just start right here. If your ex is an earth sign, so Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn, male or female, sun, moon, or rising, I feel like you'll be looking at the possibility maybe of getting back together. It could be because you're hearing from them. I definitely see something here where there's a decision. The 7 of Pentacles is all about decisions. Ironically, you have this with the 5 of Swords. I feel like if your ex is an earth sign, then you have to be really careful, because the Five of Swords does represent sabotage and a very unwise decision. I almost feel like the sign of Cancer, if your ex is an earth sign, run. Because I feel like you're being warned here that if you don't take your time in making a decision, and we kind of saw that in the first spread, if you don't really take your time and think about what you're doing, if you are reconnecting with this earth sign, you might look back and think that was the worst thing you ever did, giving this person a second chance, because we did see that in the first spread as well. For those of you where there is no earth sign, I still feel like, this is still your message. You're being told here that there is some type of decision around an ex where you have to be really careful. It could be that maybe you have to take your time and kind of figuring out what really happened. Can you trust this person again? But look at the second row. And this is all, and these are all repeat cards. They were all in the first spread. All of them. The World, the Seven of Wands, and the Five of Cups. So this would be, a new beginning for you and for your ex. With the World, you're giving it a second try. You're trying a new chapter to see if things work out. Some of you do have that chance in the month of November. I see it here and here. But also you're being told here to really stand your ground. Perhaps you need to hear the truth about what really happened. Perhaps you need to be firm. Set boundaries with this person, especially if there was cheating, or again, if you were just treated really unfairly. But I still see unhappiness here. I still see tears. I feel like for the sign of Cancer, if you're reconnecting with an ex, which to me, this is not my reading, but I can't even imagine recycling my love life. But I feel like if you're giving someone a second chance, if you're not careful, I feel like you could end up brokenhearted again, especially if if there was an ex who really broke your heart. You're being warned here, literally right here. You're being warned to be careful around decisions, because you don't want to end up here, being devastated again. This is a card of regrets and sadness. Now you also have the Nine of Swords. So, the Nine of Swords does mean that there is a lot of worry and a lot of anxiety, and it is right next to the Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups does mean that there's something moving around you and your ex. There's a change in the situation, or a change is being offered to you. So I do feel like some of you can be hearing from an ex, perhaps proposal to talk, or maybe try to work things out. But there is a lot of anxiety here. Like maybe you don't know if you can trust them. Seeing the Five of Swords and the Nine of Swords, I do feel again you have to be very careful. This is all about what you deserve. You have the Six of Pentacles. This is about you actually getting what you deserve. And it is here. So for some of you, you can actually reconnect and be in a happy relationship. But also, you're being warned here that you really need to take your time in making the decision. You have to be really firm, because you don't want to end up back here where you're just, you're devastated again. Okay, let me get a few more cards and let's get the rest of the message. Cancer and their ex for November. You have the Queen of Swords, Cancer and their ex for November. Three of Pentacles and Justice. So some of you could be dealing with an air sign. You've got the Queen of Swords, and also you've got Justice, which does represent the sign of Libra. So it's kind of interesting, Justice, a sign of Libra, and the Queen of Swords, which is air signs, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, male or female, sun, moon, or rising. For those of you, again, who have an ex who's an air sign, this is really speaking to you. You have the Three of Pentacles, which does mean that there's a lot of effort being put in here. For some of you, your ex could be trying to win you back. I do feel like you have a decision based on what I see here. Like you have a decision to make. Someone is taking their time trying to decide, what should I do? What should I do? There's a lot of effort being put in here. Justice does represent an apology. And I definitely feel like the sign of Cancer is owed an apology here. This is the second time you've gotten the Seven of Wands. You have to fight back. You have to really speak your truth. Something was not right here. Something was unfair to the sign of Cancer. And I do feel like perhaps, there is an air sign. This could also be you if you have a moon or rising in Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. There is a lot of effort being put in here. With the Three of Pentacles, a lot of effort to make things work. Or, someone is trying to apologize to you. Okay, let's get a few more cards from the confirmation deck so we can get the rest of the story. Let's see what comes up. Cancer and their ex for November. Two of Pentacles. So this is about decisions. Again, decisions here, here, and here. Cancer and their ex for November. The Seven of Swords. So red flag here and here. Page of Swords. And this is the truth. The Page of Swords does mean that you need to really hear the truth, or you could be hearing the truth. The problem is that you've got truth and deception right next to each other. So again, I feel like Cancer, like if you're reconnecting with an ex, you really have to be very careful because someone may be pulling one on you. I hate to say that, but that is what I see. I feel like you've got kind of a tricky decision on your hands here. I mean, you've got the Two of Pentacles, which does mean everything's kind of feels up in the air between you and your ex. You don't know what is happening. There's a sense of confusion. But also there's deceit. It could be, there's maybe something that happened between you and your ex that you didn't know about, because I see deception here. The Seven of Swords does, represent deceit, someone who is lying to you, someone who is sneaky, someone who you can't trust. But there is, complete honesty here. So again, maybe if something was hidden from you, something that happened in your relationship with your ex, this could be coming to light. And again, some of you, maybe after hearing this, like you have a decision to make. That could be why I see that here, here, and here. I do feel like you have a chance to reconnect with your ex, but seeing the cards here, I feel like you have to be very, very careful as far as can you truly trust this person? I know in the first spread you did have the High Priestess, which was telling you to trust your intuition. The sign of Cancer is very intuitive. Here she is. You have the High Priestess telling you to trust your intuition, because again, I do see a new beginning here with the World, but I also see tears. Again, you have a very important decision to make around your ex. For some of you, you could be reconnecting, but this is something where you really have to take your time. Okay, Cancer, this has been your love reading for November 2019. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll speak to you again next month.